So it's a lot of these buildings used to be run down, destroyed.
This is my good friend Edwin Pacheco, and he is the lead planter at Redemption Church in Red Hook, Brooklyn.
When we first were planting, our first church plant was here in Park Slope.
Okay.
And me and my wife grew up here. She grew up probably like 4 or 5 blocks away from this church. And so I wrestled with my faith for a long time, but at 16 years old, really just kind of dove into it and wrestled through that stuff and really came to faith. Mm-hmm. Then it was at a youth service that for the first time I heard what the gospel really was. And that preacher, as he was preaching, man, just felt like tunnel vision. Like there was about 200 other young people in the room, and it just felt like it was to me. And for the first time I heard God's grace, God's mercy, His redemptive work for humanity, and I was like, this is it, you know. And from that time on, man, just really felt the call to lead out in whatever that was. And so part of my passion as a young person was, man, I don't want anybody to experience religion the way I did, where it was always workspace, always feeling like I'm falling short every time I messed up. And and so from the age of like 16, 17, 18 years old, that was my passion. It's like, I want to preach the gospel unadulterated and let people know that, like, you don't have to work for salvation. It's God's gift to us. And then that just stirred the passion for the scriptures even more. And then at around the age of 21, our church at the time had a Bible college, so I started going to that Bible college, graduated, and got a bachelor's in theological studies. And that was the same time doors are open to do full-time ministry as a youth pastor. Mm-hmm. And me and my wife did that for, like I mentioned, about 8-9 years. And so for me, I didn't grow up Southern Baptist at all. I mentioned that. And so this idea of partnership was just so foreign for me. Like, our context of partnership was making Spanish food and selling plates after service. Like, that's how we raised support, you know? Yeah. But for us, like, that's been a huge answer to prayer. And Brian and this church has been a huge part of helping us kind of figure a lot of that out. Like, how does that happen in real life? And just kind of thinking through numbers, like, our average giving at our church, we got about 35 adults coming. The average household income, first of all, in our neighborhood is about $17,000 for a family of 4. Wow. Our average giving is going to be around between $3 to $5 per family on a weekly basis.
Did you say 17?
Yeah, about 17.5. So this is our divide. Separates the hipster from the hood. This is the end of the project, and so everything from the projects comes this way. Everything from here, for the most part, is being developed or redeveloped. The hipster part is going to be very artsy, and so you're going to see a lot of houses, as you just saw there. You have a lot more like this happening. This corner property, they're renting that space. We actually checked it out about 2 weeks ago. That space was smaller than the cafe space that you guys have, and that's going for about $1,900 a month. It's a nonprofit that operates the farm itself, and it happens also with a lot of students that are volunteering their time there, as well as residents. Specifically, this is run for the residents here. They're developing actually a co-op in Red Hook, and so that's in the beginning stages right now. You could be paying a minimum of $300, average probably $600-700, and then this house right across the street could be going for 1.2, which is a new remodel. So this is the space we're trying to get for us. This used to be the senior center. They now are in the front of the project. When the Hurricane Sandy hit, water came all the way up to just about the first floor window, and so it flooded this out. It's been abandoned since. They haven't gone in to do any repairs or anything like that. And so we're trying to convince the city to give us this at a 20-year lease. We come in, do all the construction and repairs that's needed. And it has a food pantry, it has a kitchen, about 4 rooms, and like 2 office spaces. And so we're trying to get that. And it would also include this outdoor space that we can kind of use to do some gardening and barbecuing and stuff like that for the community. And it's an ideal spot in the community. Everybody knows, so like as far as promoting, we can always say we're right on the corner, question from the library, or by the chicken spot, and everybody knows where the chicken spot is at. And so it's a great place for us to just kind of just commune with people and stuff like that. And so we are constantly praying over this. So this is a great spot. I'd love for us to pray, man, if one of you guys would be down to pray.
I pray. Father, we come to you, Lord. We just thank you for what you're doing and building your kingdom. And you are sovereign over every rule and authority in this area. And we want your hand to come down here. We want to see heaven come down here. And we want to take this place.
Between the projects and the hipster part of the community, which means that people from both sides of the community naturally gather here. And so when you show up to one of our events, show up to whether it's a cookout during the summertime or like our Easter egg hunt, you have every shade of color mixed in this. Last June we had Johnson Ferry from Atlanta come out with their youth choir. We had 250 teenagers singing gospel music. We had hipsters, we had hood, we had the police come out because they thought something was going to happen because everybody's interacting. We ended the event with a dance party where cops were dancing with drug dealers and hipsters, and it just like we're sitting back and we're like, this is the kingdom, this is what it looks like, and everybody else is like, this is just really weird because we've never known what this could be like. And we had cops come up to us after the event and they were like, man, they apologized because one of the guys, when we were first thinking about planting, we were doing a tour with our with the director of our Baptist convention in New York, and this police officer told us every reason not to plant the church. He had no faith in it. He's been a friend, but he had no faith in what we were doing. That day he was here with some of his officers, and he was like, I gotta apologize. I doubt everything that you said you're gonna do. He was like, this is the first time I've seen anything like this in the community, and I've been here for 8 years. And so for us, this is our mission field where we naturally engage everybody from both sides of the neighborhood, and there's a sense of unity. So we've never experienced a fight, a dispute, nothing. Like everything that we've done has united people here, and it's just been a common denominator for people to build community. So even though we don't have space, we're like, this is ours.
Yeah.
And we've claimed it. The cops give us the support here. People already expect us to be here. And so for us, is like this is home. And so we pulled the trigger. We're like, we have to, and this is why for us one of our core things is like we have to be a church that displays what family looks like. And so it was out of that we realized we don't have a space, but we got to keep on doing ministry. The week of the event, they called us on Wednesday. They were like, I'm sorry, on Sunday before. We're doing VBS from Monday through Friday. So Sunday they call us in the morning. They're like, hey, you can't use our space. We're like, what happened? Like. They're like, no, it's going to be, we don't want people to think that like what you're doing is part of us or vice versa. So I have a team coming up on Monday to do everything for us. Long story short, we just decided, let's do it in the park. Let's figure this out. Each night the size of the group increased, and each night there was something else happening and that like was a deterrent. So like day one, we set everything up, had stations. Out of nowhere, a thunderstorm comes, just knocks down 2 trees in the park. It was literally like tornado. It felt like it was over within 10-15 minutes. Oh. But it destroys everything in the park. And you went from having like 80 kids in the park just playing to like 8 kids. And so we decided we're just going to go ahead and do it. We had 35 kids that night. So we're like, okay, this is great. 35 kids is better than nothing. Second night, there is a kid's birthday party at the park. They pull up with a game truck. And so we're like, what is going on? And so each night there was something else. The third night, there's a shootout right across the street. One of the kids that used to be part of my after school program, his dad gets shot right in front of him. Man. And so every night just something. But each night the attendance kept on growing. And just by the end of the week, we had 90-something kids with us. And that was impactful because we saw the amount of kids that were showing up. But even more so, that messed us up. And this kind of was one of the things that for us was we pulled the trigger on saying we have to be here, was when we finished VBS, we had a bunch of kids coming up to the male staff specifically asking us to be dad. because they never experienced what it was to have a piggyback ride. They never experienced male figures in their life playing with them and caring for them. And we had single moms on the sideline just crying because their kids are like, can you come home? Can you? And we're like, this is really weird for us, but at the same time, we understand what's at the heart of this.
Mallory is willing to pray for us. Can we pray
Absolutely.
right here? Okay.
Love it.
God, you are so good, Lord.
Yes, Lord.
You're so great, God, and you just saw before, Lord, when there was no faith in this place. You saw before that this was your place.
And so I got involved in the PTA. I'm part of the school leadership team, and just being a constant minority voice in the conversation is beginning to change that and make some shifts.
Wow.
And so people on the hipster side are looking at that and are being more considerate about what they're doing, and then people from the hood side are beginning to see consistency, and they're like, okay, can I come to the table? And I'm like, please come to, like, you're not gonna be able to change